Okay, we're going to move on with the Office of Family Safety. Miss Diane Lance, Director. If you'd like to introduce your colleague and make any statement you'd like to.
Right, thank you, Councilman Pardue, members of the Metro Council, and the Budget and Finance Committee. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Diane Lance, and I am the department head for Metro's Office of Family Safety, and sitting to my right is Andrew Sullivan, who is our department's finance officer. This is our second budget hearing as a new department, which is a great thing. And I want to start by appreciating the Office of Family Safety staff. They work really hard every day to improve domestic violence and sexual assault victim safety and offender accountability in our community. This past year, our department focused on quite a few things. The top of those is to continue to run a successful advocacy center called the Gene Crow Advocacy Center, located in the Ben West building attached to the Birch Courthouse. This past year, that center assisted 500 victims that came for services, and it would be over 700 people if you include those victims' children and witnesses as well. So we're quite active in assisting with safety planning, orders of protection, assessing lethality, and things of that nature. We've worked hard to sustain our volunteer lawyer program, which we have subcontracted with legal aid to provide volunteer lawyer assistance in order of protection hearings. We've worked hard to continue to manage the lethality assessment program in close partnership with the police department, working on the training of the officers, the data collection and reporting out of those outcomes that we see from that program, in addition to overall training within Metro government on domestic violence and sexual assault. Those trainings have included training police officers, district attorneys, victim witness coordinators, court officials, the health department, sheriff's office, school nurses, and libraries and Metro Social Services. So we try to keep really busy with our basic domestic violence and sexual assault trainings. And the other really large project that we've continued to work on over the past year is ensuring the trauma-informed design elements and that there will be effective service provision at the new Family Justice Center that's being built on Murfreesboro Road. I'll gladly take any questions.
Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Quickly, I see that you have an increase of $250,000 for YWCA. Is that, and I'm looking on page E51.3, and then flipping over to E51.4 under professional and purchase services. Is that where the 250 is being reflected? And what exactly, rather than me trying to attempt what that will accomplish, if you don't mind, share with us what that will accomplish.
Well, I think it will accomplish quite a few things, and it's a great question. So with the YWCA, they're obviously the largest shelter provider in our community, and it prioritizes the importance of shelter provision. And it's relating directly to one of the largest initiatives in domestic violence, which is the rollout of the lethality assessment program. I think I spoke about that last year, where Metro patrol officers are presenting victims with a battery of questions designed specifically to assess the likelihood that their situation could turn deadly. And based on the results of that questionnaire and how the numbers add up on affirmative answers, that officer will have a responsibility to call the YWCA hotline and speak to that hotline provider and put that victim on the phone with that hotline provider, which brings immediate crisis intervention services to the scene. So how that relates to the YWCA is the number of calls have been tremendous. The Maryland network, this is their model. Our numbers have been 4 times more LAPs administered in Davidson County than the Maryland network estimated, 5 times more LAPs coming back as high risk for victims than was estimated by the Maryland network. So the strain on the YWCA has been pretty profound. And also, really the positive thing that's coming out is they are seeing a lot more people seeking shelter services than they had in the past, and that is the whole purpose of this program. Men and women, obviously they're not taking in the men, but referring them out, but the number of people who are rolling into shelter after that has been dramatically increasing. So we do want to support the YWCA for the added positive strain on their service provision due to the LAP. Does that make sense?
No, it does. So this $250,000, does that actually help them bring on additional staff, operators, or whatever, or is that what that will accomplish?
I think that needs to be defined with the YWCA. We always look first to any grant money that might be able to be subcontracted. It could go directly to support shelter beds. Maybe they can move their other funding that maybe was for some shelter beds to employ other people within their agency. Those conversations have not started yet, but it is something we work daily with the YWCA. And whatever the $250,000 would go to towards the YWCA would be absolutely critical that it support the programs that are related in many ways to the services that we're providing.
Okay, and I don't know if you can give us the answer to that before the budget season is over with, but obviously that represents the solid majority of the increase that you guys have requested. Absolutely. And that are in your budget.
Absolutely.
And so if Roseanne can just, if you'll follow up with the question of, what did it end up providing? That way next year when we come back and we're looking at it, I wouldn't mind having a base to where we can see, okay, the money that we placed there, was it a good investment? Did it help you guys accomplish what you had hoped it would accomplish?
Yes, and I think that you can probably look towards the money that was provided to the YWCA in the Community Enhancement Fund last year to be able to envision the way it would be directed this coming year.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Councilman Schulman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Director. So I'm just going to follow up on what Councilman Glover was asking. The $250,000, is that something new? Is that new money for your program to work with YWCA?
That would be new money that comes through the Office of Family Safety.
Okay.
It's a direct appropriation, obviously, to the YWCA for a service that is of importance to the community.
Right, and you may or may not know this, but last year we gave them money, right?
I believe that, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, there was some appropriation to the YWCA for a fence for security issues of the, they had a horrible incident happen without a fence that was concerning to all the residents. And so Metro did support the building of a fence, I think in part.
Okay, this may go to the Finance Department. According to the budget last year, we gave the YWCA for domestic violence programs $278,000. All right, so are they going to get, are we decreasing the amount we're giving for domestic violence? Is that what's going on? Because obviously 250 is less than 278.
It is.
Are they going to get more money somewhere else?
It is less, and that is uncertain. We are waiting to see about the Community Enhancement Fund, how that is to be distributed, any guidance, given that there is a direct appropriation to the Y. Again, we always want to support our nonprofit partners with grant funds whenever possible. I mean, the very essence of our department is to support our partners to better equip and enable them to provide the services that they provide as well.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, right now in the budget, we're giving them less money.
As
right?
It would appear right now without taking into consideration what might appear in community enhancement
Right,
fundings.
so last year we knew they got $278,000. This year they're getting less. They may get some money, we don't know. So they may get more than they got last year, or they're going to get less. Why wouldn't we have just given them the same amount that we gave them last year? And I know that's probably not a fair question to you. It may be for the Finance Department because. Okay. I'd turn it on if I could, but.
Okay, Councilman, last year we had the, what we refer to as the Community Enhancement Fund.
Right.
And there were the different buckets, so the YW would have competed.
Right.
Amongst several nonprofits for funding. So the amount that you're seeing in there in terms of actual is the award that they received in the current year based on that competition. Okay, what you're seeing here is really a direct appropriation through the Office of Family Safety to the YW to provide some specific services. The Community Partnership Fund will have funding available to nonprofits to compete once again for funding from Metro. But the mayor felt like it was really important this year that we have money directly in the Office of Family and Safety, because that was such an important initiative to the city, and it's for services that are provided that Metro has no other way to receive those services.
Right.
And Diane, did you want to follow up on that as a comment?
I think that accurately describes what's going on, and it just shows the prioritization of shelter services in our community.
Yeah, and I think we're all on the same page on that, but what I'm concerned about is that they may end up getting less money than we gave them last year because of the way this has been done. So I think what I would actually like to see is that we actually take some of that money from the back and put it up there so we actually build it back to at least where it was last year. I know that they can go through this process and maybe even get more, but they may get zero based upon the evaluation of the proposals. So for a service that's very, very important, they may actually end up getting less than they did last year.
And I really appreciate your thoughtfulness and concern around the YWCA, and I would certainly share that their work be fully supported as is needed. And again, we would work hard to support that potentially. We would look at Community Enhancement Fund if permitted, and then we would also look at any funding opportunities that we receive that could possibly be subcontracted to support the YWCA.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. This is very important. What I'll do is I'll file something as a wish list item that maybe even takes $50,000 more and puts it in there so we know that they get. I just don't want to cut this is too important to cut. I want to make sure they get more. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
It's very thoughtful.
We still have several speakers in the queue. If you will, please try to keep it to the budget. Thank you. Councilman Hagan. Hang on. I'm pushing the button, Larry. I'm doing the best I can for you, buddy. There you go.
Testing. All right, you got me. Yeah, Ms. Lance, I was going to ask one or two questions real quick. On page E51-1, I see this total program revenue. Is that representative of the grants that y'all receive?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So for 2017 and 18, you're projected to get $370,400 in grants, correct?
Correct.
All right. And can you tell me where these grants come from?
Of course. So we have one large grant. It's called an arrest grant that we receive directly from the Office of Violence Against Women. We have a STOP grant. That is a pass-through grant that we receive from the state, and they're the ones that monitor us under that, as well as a VOCA grant, which is another pass-through grant to the state and the state monitors us on that grant.
Okay. Do we get any federal type of grants, or are there any out there?
The arrest grant is the federal grant, which funds these separate programs in our office.
Okay. And who does the searching for y'all's grant? Do y'all have somebody in the office that does it for you?
Who does the what?
Who does the searching for the different type of grants? Somebody in the office? Or you?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I've been asking for a grant person, but
okay.
everyone seems to think I must do a good enough job that I keep doing it.
I think we used to have one for everybody, but I think they've done away with that. Okay. And then as far as what you give to the YWCA, do y'all monitor what those funds are used for, or somebody does?
We will need to develop some type of monitoring for that. We do monitor any subcontracted grant. We have a grant that's subcontracted to the YWCA now, part of a grant, and part of a grant subcontracted to legal aid. Andrew does the fiscal monitoring of that grant, and I, along with an employee, do the operational oversight of the grant.
Thank you. I appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you for your questions.
Councilman Cooper.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank the office and for everything that you do. A quick question. Your budget's grown in the last 3 years about 50% as a new agency is finding the level of need in the community. Do you anticipate that growth to continue as the need is so deep in the future? And if so, is there kind of a wish list going forward that you might share with us?
Councilman Cooper, that's such a great question. I really appreciate it. One of the most interesting things, especially in the area of domestic violence and sexual assault, is when you add services to a community, you thereby increase demand. such a low number of domestic violence and sexual assault incidents are reported that when there's a new service, especially when that service provides confidential services, they come, basically. So the same will happen with the new Family Justice Center on Murfreesboro Road. We saw it with the Gene Crow Advocacy Center, that we built it and they came, and the same will happen with the Family Justice Center on Murfreesboro Road. Even more so because that center will really reach out to those victims that do not necessarily want to be involved with our court system or our law enforcement systems. So we are hoping that that will be the catch-all for those people that don't want to engage either of those systems. So as far as our wish list, we have been putting that into, I think it's called our anticipated budgets in the future. And we are trying to work on grants in preparation of that for advocates that will be needed at that Family Justice Center. By that time, I really do feel strongly we will need someone to really work on and assist with the grants and the management of these grants. It's becoming to a tipping point where at this point I'm probably going to have to stop looking towards grants because it's too challenging to monitor and it puts Metro at risk if they're not monitored properly. Volunteer coordinators, we get a lot of resources from volunteers and donations. So positions like that, as well as the director of that Family Justice Center, sort of the operations within our office and with our partners. So it would be the counterpart to the director of the Gene Crow Advocacy Center. There would be a position like that on Murfreesboro Road. Thank you.
Councilor Henderson.
Thank you.
You disappeared. Push your button again. Disappeared again. Try it one more time. That's
Okay, it's working. Director Lance, I concur with everyone else. Thank you for the good work that you do. In fact, all of my questions have been answered, so thank you to my colleagues for asking them, with one exception. As it relates to the YWCA and the shelter services, as you look at the capacity across the city as people are reaching out to access these services, are we maxing out in the nonprofit community? I mean, are they always full there at the YWCA? Are there other shelter providers? What does that look like from y'all's perspective? I know they're your preferred partner, and that's why you've got this funding in there for them. But looking ahead, kind of where are we on capacity in the city?
So the YWCA is our largest shelter provider, but we have another very close partner called Morningstar Sanctuary, which is also a shelter provider, and they are also a close partner. So in Davidson County, we have 2 shelter providers, and they're both outstanding. As far as capacity, they both are at capacity, and people frequently have to wait to get into shelter, which is, in my opinion, absolutely tragic.
Right.
If someone is ready to flee their situation and they're told they have to stay at home and do that, especially if a victim is really working off their gut and their gut tells them that their risk is increasing, we do not want that person to stay there. We absolutely need more shelter beds in this county.
What happens in a scenario like that? Do they just have to stay where they are? Is there no intervening kind of resource for them to bridge that gap?
So each shelter has its own hotline. So Morningstar has a hotline, and the YWCA is a hotline, and those people are well trained in how to advise. So that advice can be, do you have a place you can go to in the meantime where you will be safe and not be found? Maybe it's a friend, someone from work, something like that. It can be a slow exit plan where let's find another time when your offender might not be home or might not be expecting you to leave. It can be maybe you need to go to a hotel, which is certainly not the best option. It's very isolating, and often victims might go home in that circumstance. So there's a lot of conversation about how to do it, as well as exploring out-of-county area shelters, which is very disruptive to any children that might be in schools in the area or make it very difficult to continue at your job.
Okay, appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, that's helpful.
Thank you.
Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Rosie, I think I need to recraft the question because I don't think I fully understood the moving of money in the way that it's perhaps been moving. So the $250,000, while it looks like it's a new request, in reality, it may not get you what you've had in the past by utilizing the YWCA. So in the event that they didn't receive it from another line item that happens to be in the budget, what impact will that have upon your services, and will the 250 be sufficient to accommodate what you feel like the needs will be going forward? Maybe that may be a little more clear, and maybe it's not as clear, but I think from my standpoint, I'm trying to understand, because it looked to be new money to me, but it may not be new money. And so that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Right, and I do not know if how much will be put in the domestic violence category for the Community Enhancement Fund, to know if that $250,000 has reduced the domestic violence allotment in the Community Enhancement Fund.
Was the $278,000 used for that purpose in the last budget, or in the current budget? Do you know the answer to that?
$270,000 was given to the YWCA out of the Community Enhancement Fund.
And was it used for the purposes of what you see the 250 being used for going forward, or was it two separate?
Right, so that was used, I don't have a whole list of all that you used it for, but it did support shelter beds and certain employees, and oftentimes nonprofits will use our Community Enhancement Fund to cover some really baseline services that grants won't ever cover, which is a really important function. So it will cover that. I do think that if we were, if the Community Enhancement Fund amount was not reduced due to the due to that $250,000 direct appropriation, then certainly I would hope that we would be able to redirect some additional funds in that direction to support all the LAP work. But shelter beds remains a top priority. So if the $250,000 is needed to support the existence of those shelter beds, then it will continue to do that, and we'll have to figure out other ways to support the LAP work.
Okay, I think that it more accurately describes than the question that I would like to have answered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Shulman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will be real quick. It just goes back with what Councilman Glover was asking. So I just added it up. Domestic violence programs in the 2017 budget, about $673,000.
Yes.
Okay, so this is not a question for you. This is for the Finance Department. Do we know how much money is going into that domestic violence programs in the back?
We have not done any kind of a spread or allocation across any individual priority area, so that at this moment in time, it is it's allocated there, but the mayor's office is working on the priority areas. Last year, we had like 3 priority areas. It was domestic violence, after school. There was actually 4, literacy, and then a bucket called community services.
Right, and so I guess my question is, because I can add it up real quick, but 673 this year we've only put $1 million in that entire allotment for those 4 funds. Mm-hmm. So, but we don't know how it's going to be split.
We're working on that allocation right now.
Do you know when we'll have the allocation?
I'll get with the mayor's office to determine the status on that,
okay,
because they need to get out a message to the nonprofits in terms of the individual priority areas and the groupings and the allocations, and I know that they're actively working on that.
Okay, I guess the question is, if it's only $1 million, and I don't know, we can add up real quick what the rest of it is, but 673 is getting close to $1 million, and that's just in the one fund, so that's why we're trying to figure out how much money, if there's any money available or going to be left to take care of what we're concerned about with the YWCA. All right, thanks.
Seeing no one else in the queue, Diane, we appreciate you coming. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we're running about 10 minutes behind now, so we'll see what kind of response time we can get from the police.